sharing our stories connects us. Listen and be connected. Join us for the conversation meeting weekly at the intersection of community and culture. Hosted by Mario Nunez and Joe King Carter. And Joe King Carter. Joey!
Hey.
It's Wednesday again, Joe.
It is.
It's Wednesday. It's hump day. It's
the hump of the hump.
It's the hump of the hump. It's the humpity hump. Well, as we like to say here on WMNF 88.5. And if you're listening to us on your radio, we welcome you. If you're listening to us at WMNF.org from anywhere you happen to be it London, England, or Honolulu, Hawaii, we just welcome you as well. Because,
That's
we
right.
have that kind of range, Joey. We're everywhere.
We're global.
I love that.
That's right.
I hadn't considered that. But
We're
you're right.
broadcasting globally.
We don't just go to Bradenton, Florida. Ain't that right, Joey?
That's right.
All right. Well, listen, I'm Mario Nunez. As you heard, that's Joe King Carter. We are coming at you live from the studios at WMNF. And as we do each and every week, we bring in interesting guests to inform our audience, which is a rather informed audience as it is.
Yes.
But we like to think that you can always learn something new and special each and every day, and certainly each and every week, Wednesday at noon.
That's right.
Joey,
Absolutely.
how was your week?
My
How did
week-
you spend your week?
I spent my week well. I did a lot of stuff that I wanted to do this week, and I got a lot of things out of the way in preparation for some other things that are happening. But I will say...
Very nebulous, Joey. You didn't get
I know it's
no
nebulous.
detail
You
there at
want
all.
details? You
I
want
do.
details?
I do.
Oh, really?
People want inquiring minds, Joey.
I'm preparing to remodel my house.
There you go.
And that's a big deal.
That is huge.
But I would like to say that tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get this out of the way before I forget. If you look to the skies, you will see the Perseid meteor shower. Not the Leonid, but the Perseid. And you will be seeing sights in the sky that people have looked at for thousands. 10,000 years ago, people stared and looked at it and tried to understand what it was.
That's the cool thing about it, that we are connected in our humanity with not only the present and the past, but some would even say the future, because these things that have happened through the millennia are happening to us today in real time.
Yes.
And, you hear from the guy of ABC News, the guy with the suspenders. I don't want to mention his name because he gets too many votes on Best of the Bay. And we got to talk about that in a second. And he's been 7 times the champion for the best radio. But he's worse than anybody the way he solicits for votes. But he's also very good. Dennis Phillips, I'll give him his props. Denis, because it's only one N.
Yeah.
Denis, it's French. He told us last night, he said, and if you go out in the wee hours, the wee smalls, 2 to 3 is the best viewing.
Yes.
Also, because tonight is a new moon. Joey, you know what that is?
Yes, there's no moon.
Ding, Joey. That's why you're on the radio with me. I thought
That's
I got
it, baby.
you. A new moon means no moon.
So it's the perfect viewing.
Perfect.
Window.
It'll be as dark as it could possibly be in your backyard. Taking into consideration the light pollution that Tampa offers just normally. Now, if you were up somewhere on a mountaintop in an observatory, boy, what a light show you'll get there.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's very cool. I've done it many times, and it's really cool to see these little things flying through the sky.
So when you see that, you can break into chorus and go, "When you wish upon a star." Right, Joey?
Oh, no. I
Jiminy
gave him
Cricket,
an opportunity to
sing. And I never miss an opportunity to sing. Joey, Best of the Bay, congratulations on your nomination.
Thank you.
Everybody that's out there listening, please consider voting for my dear friend Joe King Carter, who was nominated Best of the Bay, Best Radio Personality. And I can tell you how to get there to do it. You just go to WMNF.org. We have 19 other categories in which this little radio station that can and does and do all of that. You just go to WMNF.org and it'll direct you on how to place your votes.
And if you want, you can go to vote.cltampa.com, go down to Peoples, and go to the people, and then you'll scroll down and find radio personality.
Creative Loafing. They do a great job in our community, and this is once a year that we get to celebrate our own. So go get them, everybody. And one last thing before
19 nominations for WMNF, as you said. That's an amazing thing. And you know what? Let's support community radio, folks. So get out there. If you don't vote for me, vote for one of my compadres. If in 1984 I borrowed $20 from you and I never paid it back and you don't like me, you can go to Bob Seymour, or you can go to Esme Russell, or any one of the other radio hosts.
So long as you didn't borrow money from them. But the reality is, that's right, Joey. But the reality is, it's an opportunity for us to recognize the community for the work we do.
Yes.
And I think we do great. Okay, so lastly, Joey, I just got to
Yes.
ask you, you weren't caught on video getting out of Air Force One going onto a catering truck anytime soon, were you? Joey, what's that all
I
about?
know. The fear was...
You know, I was a flight attendant for 30 years, Joey.
Yes.
I know my way around a catering truck pretty good.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine on Air Force One what it took to get the Secret Service to move the POTUS onto that catering truck. And did they think they were going to fool us? Did they think we weren't going to find out?
I don't know. He was lost, wasn't he? What was
He's lost.
happening?
All I know is the memes that are going around now with him crawling out of a catering cart are delicious. Let's start the show, Joey.
Yes. Well, we are excited today because we have with us the Director of Community Relations from Frameworks.
Hello.
Yo, Kimberly Slattery Gaston.
I love that.
Yes.
Correct.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome
so
to our
much.
humble show, our humble little
so
show.
honored to be here.
Oh, that's very cool. We're honored to have you. So let me just say real quick that I had a chance meeting with Kimberly a while back, and her and her husband Brian, and it was a delightful conversation. And somewhere in my head, I said, I'm going to go home and look this Frameworks thing up, and I did, and I was astounded. But before we get to Frameworks, let's get to know you. Because I know that you were born someplace, but you didn't grow up in one place, did you?
Correct. No.
So let's talk about that. Where were you born and where did you grow up?
So I was born in the Panhandle, Pensacola, Florida. And after that, a little bit of everywhere. I am an Army brat, although I don't claim the brat part.
No.
I try not to. Since I was 18 months old, my family and I, we moved every 3 years. That's just part of military life. And so I went to, 2 different elementary schools, 2 different middle schools, 2 different high schools. And we lived overseas a lot of that time.
That
We were very
part's cool.
privileged. That was very cool. So I would say I grew up, was born in Pensacola. We were in Berlin, Germany for 2 different tours, 3 years each. And then did most of high school in Yorkshire, England.
Wow.
Also very cool.
Yes, we were very, very, very lucky. But Pensacola was home base. We would come back in between. We did some little stints in Maryland as well. So
What branch of the service was your father in?
He
Was
was
it
in
your
Army.
father or your mother?
yes, my father is using the Army.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you went to 2 different high schools. That sounds a little, confusing? How does that work?
Yes, so I would say the first part was great. I loved it, but then I had to move right before my senior year. My dad
that's
was
tough.
retiring from
Yikes.
the military, and so we
Yikes.
moved back to the States. I was in England, was doing well. I had all my friends. I was in clubs and sports and cheerleading and dance and all the things. And then right before my senior year, we moved. And so I was in a brand new school, didn't have any connections.
Moved
with-
to
Back to Pensacola.
Pensacola.
Yes, 'cause I-
Wait a minute. England to Pensacola.
Correct.
Whoa.
Talk about a cultural
That
shock.
was
yeah.
a culture shock.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes. So that was hard. That definitely was an adjustment.
It's hard to give up all your friends and the bearings of support you had and all that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
So I've got a theory on that, Kimberly, and we have. You are not the first. This is not a mutually exclusive club. We have had people sitting in that seat where you are that have told us similar stories.
Yes.
That for different reasons they moved about, and in some cases it was almost every year, and in some cases, so it's the good and the bad, the yin and the yang, right? So
Absolutely.
you develop as a young child and an adolescent. Survival skill that is paramount and second to none because you know how to make friends, you know how to navigate your way through different and strange and glorious environments.
1000%.
The other side of it, maybe the downside perhaps, is people like myself, maybe like Joey, that we went to 3 schools, an elementary, a junior high, and a high school, and we went with the same people, for good or bad, for those years. And you develop long and endearing relationships that go on for even now 50 years that I'm graduating high school. So speak to that a little bit and how you think that that's helped you in your skill set.
No, that's a great question. And people ask me all the time, like, do you regret it? Do you wish you didn't have that experience growing up? And even though it was difficult and challenging at times, I don't regret it at all. It was such a rich upbringing. It is.
Exciting.
And to your point, I'm grateful because it made me who I am. It's made me a stronger person. I am more adaptable. I'm more flexible. And to speak to those friendships, it's interesting in military culture, you're used to being the new kid, but so is everyone else. And so they just adopt you so quickly the minute you're at a Department of Defense school. And so my best friend, we met in England when I was 14, and to this day,
Still
we
pals.
talk all the time. We have a vacation planned. We visit, each other's families. So you can still have those strong relationships, and
they might even develop faster because you know that you're on the clock.
Right.
Because you know in 3 years you might be out of here.
Right.
So we ain't got time to mess around. You going to be my best friend? Yes or no? Do you like me? Yes or no?
That's exactly how it went. She came up to me day one. She's like, all right, you want to sit at lunch? We're going to be friends. And the
I
rest
love
was
that.
history.
Boom.
I love that.
Wow, cool. So, okay, so you come back.
Siblings?
Yeah, siblings?
No, I am an only child.
Joey! I'm going to ring the bell. Wait. I'm going to ring the bell. Hey, because you know what? More times than not, nah, it's about a 50-50. We have a lot of people that come in here.
We seem to have a lot of onlys.
And
in
either
here.
they're onlys.
I don't know why.
Either they're onlys or they were raised, like there's a big disparity between their siblings' ages. So they were kind of raised like onlys.
Right.
I'm an only.
Here's an only.
And
I'm a sibling that
he's
was
basically
I'm the
only.
other.
Okay.
Kind of like an only too.
We get a bad rap. Only
I think so.
I know.
I'll take that argument.
Selfish. They're selfish.
Bradish. We weren't going to use that word.
And
bratty.
Not so. That's not so. We're delightful people. We onlys. Yeah.
Even if we say so. Ourselves.
Yes. Even though we say so
we're
ourselves.
not biased at all.
That's right. So okay. So no siblings, but you sounded like you were, because of this background.
Social.
You had to be a very social person to get through the world.
Definitely. I think it was a survival skill. You had to, like I said, adapt, be flexible, meet people quickly. And I think kids in the military culture, they get that. So they, most of the time, bring those skills as well. There was a lot of culture shock when I came back to the States and went to a regular public school. They didn't understand why I was coming in the middle of the school year. They didn't, they had grown up with each other. And then I was only, in that case, it was in Maryland, I was only there for a year and a half, and we were being stationed out again. So why are you leaving in the middle of the school year? Forming friendships was a little harder because letting people in, they weren't used to that. So I definitely experienced some culture shock when it wasn't part of the military culture. But that was a good learning experience as well.
Also,
I mean,
sure.
you learn to deal with that, and you dig deep, and you learn so much about yourself.
I think Kimberly is here for all of it. You know what I mean?
That's
she's
right.
just here for
I get
all
it.
whatever the day brings. She's ready.
She's ready.
She was doing the Marine. What's that Marine mantra? Adapt, improvise, and overcome. She's been doing that her whole life.
Yeah, I can tell.
So there's not. And the other thing too, that as you're telling the narrative and telling the story, she's the person that you think about when you see these movies, these old timey movies where people get on the train and they move and they leave town. They go.
They have a bag.
and they have 2 bags.
Yeah.
Their whole worldly
Right.
possessions are in
Yeah.
2 suitcases.
Yeah. Yes.
I would need a big truck. I'd need 2 Beacons movers trucks because pack rats like myself, we save everything.
Yeah.
Well, I
know.
might be adaptable and flexible, but I can't claim just the 2 suitcases.
Okay.
I like my clothes and my shoes.
Thank you.
In all
Thank
fairness.
you.
So now you graduate from high school, and what happens next?
So graduate from high school, and then
You're still with your family moving, or are you sort of settled anywhere?
So I went to University of West Florida in the Panhandle because it was close to home and tuition.
Familiar.
Tuition.
Yeah.
And got my first job right out of high school. So I was working part-time and going to school full-time. So putting my way through school. Graduated with a background in psychology. And then, moving around, you get the travel bug. And so my first job out of undergrad was to teach English in Japan. So I was off to Japan. I didn't know a soul. And that was where I had my first apartment.
So you woke up and said, I think I want to go to Japan. Is that what happened?
How many time zones away from London is that?
Wow.
So my senior year at University of West Florida, there was a study abroad program. I did the study abroad program in Japan. So when I was graduating, they reached out because that university where I did my summer abroad program said, we want teachers to teach English to our students. I had no teaching experience at the time.
How was your Japanese?
Oh, none. It was 0.
I see.
But they came to me because they said, would you like to apply? You did the summer abroad program. We've had people go and quit because they couldn't handle the culture shock, even if they were good teachers. We'll teach you how to be a teacher if you will go and stay.
You said you had that in spades. Yeah, you had that in spades. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Commitment time. And so what was that experience? Talk a little bit about that. What was it like interacting with being in a new place?
Asian
And that
Pacific.
place is Japan, and
Never been there before.
interacting with people who are Japanese, what's
Different.
happening.
Different culture.
It was, you would think that there would be more culture shock because, I mean, it's so different from...
Chopsticks. I'll start there.
Yes, that alone. But so many other things, and yet it's such a beautiful, welcoming culture. I fell in love with it.
Cool.
And I would say, too, it's so safe. And so as a woman, it was so freeing, and you don't realize how much you carry.
What
And
years
so-
were you there?
2002, 2003.
So right after 9/11 here, Joey.
Yeah.
You know. Right
And
after-
what makes it safe?
It
I'm
is-
curious.
It is just part of their culture. So they-
Structured.
yes, they do not steal. They're not aggressive. And so as a woman, I could walk out at any time in the evening. I could leave my purse down, and I never felt.
Let me remind you, Joey, and I experienced it with my professional career that I allude to quite often because it was 30 years of my life. These people bow. They bow their heads. That's all you need to know.
Right.
There's something very sacred to that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, the Japanese players, before they step into the batter's box in the major leagues, they acknowledge the umpire. The little leaguers, you're watching it now in the World Series, the same thing. There's something to say, lowering your head.
Yes.
That speaks to what you're talking
Yes,
about.
they're so humble and just so mindful and serving of
Mindful.
others.
Mindful.
Interesting. So how long were you there?
About a year and a half.
And what would be the chief thing that you would say you took away from that, other than what you just described?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, so many lessons. I mean, obviously just about Japan in general and culture and all of that. But personally, that was the first time I was truly out on my own. Every other time I traveled, I'd been with my parents. And so I was just on a plane. I didn't really know what to expect on the other end. Didn't know anyone. It was my very first apartment by myself.
Wow.
I'm
You're
young
20
and
years
just-
old?
Yeah, just young and starting life. And it was proof that, okay, I can do this.
What a growth moment for you.
Yeah.
I'll be okay.
If I can go to Japan on my own, I can
Not knowing
probably
a soul.
do anything.
Right.
Mom, Dad? Nope, not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And relationships there? Friends? Anything like that happen?
Yes.
I don't want to get into your dating life or anything, but
Thank you. We'll leave that.
we'll leave that.
For
Okay,
another time.
fine. Whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
We're open here. But the point is, what was that like? Did you have, a year would be a
the
long
language
time.
alone.
Yes. Luckily, at the university where I taught, I was part of a department. And so there were some people on staff that did speak English. So those became my first friendships. And there were also other teachers from Australia or other parts of the
Oh,
U.S.
cool.
So we became a nice, knit community. And then as I learned more Japanese, I've lost a lot of it. At the time, I was much more conversational. Again, the Japanese are such friendly people, so you could go out and at least have conversations with people. They had a little English, I had a little Japanese, and we meet somewhere in the middle.
Right,
and-
right.
Yeah.
Very cool. And if your memory serves you, do you have a favorite Japanese word that you remember from that time that you like?
I do, and it's an interesting question because I have one immediately that comes to mind. It's called Genki, Genki desu, and you can use it in
Wait a minute. How do you pronounce that?
Genki.
Genki.
Like with a
Hard
G?
G. Hard G.
Yes.
Genki.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's like, oh, genki desu ka? Like, are you okay? Or like that one. Or, another one, gambate. Gambate is like a motivational phrase. And you can use it in different ways. Like gambate, like, we've got this. It's a motivational, like.
Instilling
we're gonna be
confidence.
okay. Yes. You're going to be all right. We can do this. Let's rally up. Any situation that could be used. There's no word for it in English, but that phrase is something that
I
stands out
see.
to me.
Well, all I can say is Genki.
Dembate.
And that's literally all I can say. So okay. So now
Coming back. She's
you're
back.
coming back from Japan
Okay.
to where?
What's going on?
So come back to the U.S. and figuring some stuff out. Did a little bit of time in Michigan, worked at a child care center for a while. And then I said, I want to go back to grad school. I want to go back to school. So I wanted to go back to school and focus on social work. So I felt like that was where my passion was. I ended up going to Columbia University in New York City. And there, my second year there, I started an internship with UNICEF, the United Nations International Children's Fund. And that was my dream at the time. And I was initially told, like, oh, everyone wants an internship at UNICEF. Don't apply for that. Like, you should go for a smaller organization. You're not going to get a great experience there. And I didn't really listen. I said, no, this was my dream. I want this. So I pushed for it. I interviewed. And at the interview, they asked me, so, well, why do you want to intern at UNICEF? And I said, well, I like kids and I want to work with kids. They said, yeah, everybody wants that. Like, give us something we don't know. And I thought I blew the interview. I thought I bombed. And I said, well, I'm really passionate about women's issues and things of that nature. And he said, oh, we have a women's department. Let me introduce you to someone there. Yes.
Sure.
And so long story short, I got the internship, did a year internship for my second year of grad school. And then because of that internship, when I graduated with my master's, the people at UNICEF were so generous. They helped me. They said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to work in a country office. So they reached out to people in the country offices and said, who do you know? Kimberly needs a job. And they got me a job in Botswana, Africa. And so I got on a plane again, didn't know a soul. Didn't know what I was.
Honey, your passport is getting a workout.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm just going to say it.
So, and where was this again? Botswana?
Botswana.
Okay, and wow.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, listen, I moved 1 hour away from my hometown, and I've lived here since. So, so what was that like? I mean, you're on your own again.
Yes.
Yeah, and you arrive, and what happens?
I arrive, and unlike my experience in Japan, where they helped get an apartment for me and set me up, this was completely different. Ooh. So I was trying to figure out how to find an apartment. Ended up, one of the ladies at the office needed a roommate, so we ended up rooming together, and it was this beautiful traditional house, like stucco walls with like a tall thatch roof ceiling. I mean,
wow.
And again, it just, when you travel, I think you realize that everywhere, people across the world are just amazing. So I met such beautiful people. I had such a positive experience. It's a gorgeous country. I have never seen wildlife or the sky the same way as I did in Botswana. So another wonderful experience. I have no regrets.
That's what travel does, Joey. That's what travel does.
Yeah, absolutely.
I recommend it. I highly recommend it.
Yes, I get it.
If you can afford to, because things are kind of expensive now. But
right.
Agreed.
Once you get out there and you realize that we are all part of the human family, and everybody has kind of the same needs and wants and desires, and that's what travel will show you. If you never get off the block, you're destined to be just a small-minded, kind of very conservative in your thought.
Provincial.
I like that word too.
Yeah.
That applies. But
provincial.
So glad that you had all these experiences as a young person too.
Me
I mean,
too.
you can do it when you're young because the adventurous. Nothing scares you.
No.
You know what I mean? You like, I'll take it on. I'll do it.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, because I won't say I wasn't scared. I think sometimes as a young person, I had these, I'll say yes. And then I get on the plane, I'm like, what have I done? And so I have these reality moments. But that's part of life, too, is experiencing the fear and then pushing through it anyway.
That's
and
where the growth
realizing
comes.
the confidence
Agreed?
on the other side.
Yeah, that's where the growth comes.
Well, if you're stepping out, it's natural to say, maybe I stepped out a little too far. I mean, that's a natural response.
Right.
I think a human response. So, but I have a feeling that you represent that kind of concept of I've never someone who's never met a stranger, in a sense that you have never met a negative experience. You're going to make sure that it's going to work for you. That's what I see.
Well, thank you. I try. I love people. I love connecting with people. That's how I met you, Joe. I wouldn't be here if I didn't
now you
get it.
you.
I get it. Well, we're similar in that way, but I do think that, there's a lot to be said about, I mean, we won't go too far in this, but manifestation and the possibility of how one's mind works. But if you're expecting the world to be a dump, then your world's going to be a dump.
Yeah.
And if you're expecting the world to be heavenly, it kind of becomes heavenly. So I get it. I get what that's about for you. So how long were you in Botswana?
2 years.
And what do they speak in Botswana?
Setswana.
Setswana?
Setswana. And some English.
And English.
Yeah, of course.
And English.
Yes.
And give us a high point about that culture there and what you felt about that. How did you feel about all that, being there?
Being there, I would say so welcome. I remember my first week, I was still staying at the hotel because I hadn't found an apartment or a house yet. And there was a young man about my age, and he was talking to me just on the street. And we just sat and walked, like sat on a bench, and then we'd walk and talk. I mean, and we just met randomly, and we're still friends to this day. We're still friends on Facebook. And he didn't know me. I was just, so I stayed in the capital city, Gaborone, and it is pretty small. So everybody knows everybody. So they know if you're new. And so he knew you're not.
You're the new girl.
Yeah, you're the new girl.
You're not from around here.
Exactly. And so they just, he came and approached me, and that I think kind of says it all. And then once you kind of had that, I had the women in the office also being like, hey, you're my adopted daughter, and we're going to like show you the ropes, and we're going to take you here and do this, that, the other. And so it quickly became home. I mean, I think that's one thing the military life taught me. My mom and dad were really good that no matter where we went, even though it was a short time, 3 years.
That was your home.
We made it home.
Yeah, that was your home.
And so I learned that okay, the clock sticks the minute you step off the plane. You've only got a year or 2 years or 3 years here if you're lucky.
Make it count.
Make it count.
There you
Wow.
go. Beautiful.
That's a great way to see the world.
Joey, you want to drop bottom of the hour. I want to drop a station ID real
Let's
quick,
do
and
it.
then we'll come back, reintroduce Kimberly, and you better get going, son, because you know she's only
We're
20.
heading in.
Yeah, she's only 20 in this storyline, and we got more ground to cover.
We'll get on the rocket car here.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Akeem Daly, and you're listening to The Conversation with Mario Nunes and Joe King Carter on WMNF 88.5 FM Tampa.
That was an inspirational show.
You know, we don't go out in the world and say, let's find inspirational people. It's just that people come here and share their story, and it's always inspirational. That's my theory.
And we do a great job, too, of bringing it out in them. Because some don't necessarily aren't that comfortable with expressing themselves
Yes.
at times. But I think
everybody has an inspirational story, I think.
I think everybody's story is important too. And if you'd like to get in on this conversation, or like we like to say, if you'd like to get in on the conversation, which is an excellent name for a radio show, you can call us at 813-239-9663. You can send us a text at 813-433-0885, and rest assured we do read those as well. You can always send us an email, dj@wmnf.org, and operators are standing by to take your call. If you hear anything here that resonates with you and you'd like to ask a question of Miss Kimberly, please do so. Kimberly Slattery Gaston.
Yes.
Or Gaston.
So let's, because we do want to get to frameworks,
Yes.
obviously. So let's sort of get that path, life path made, because you ended up married and you ended up here and you
Yes.
ended up at this particular nonprofit. How did that all happen?
So after I came back from Botswana, I worked at UNICEF headquarters in New York for a little while longer. And I was in the education section. And being at the headquarters was a very different experience than being in the field. And I missed the field. Yeah, I was in a cubicle, and I'm a people person.
That's not you. That's not you. Yeah. No go.
That wasn't going to fly for too long. So I was thinking about taking a job with Save the Children. It would have been emergency work, and I didn't know if that's where I wanted to go either. So I said, maybe I'll go back to the classroom. I was advised, whatever you do, even though you're in the education section, do not go to the classroom. So I did. And I went back, got another master's in education, and then became a high school teacher in the South Bronx. So I taught international students in New York City for many, many years and loved it. That was my passion. I loved working with kids in the classroom. And then my health took a turn. I was working a lot, and my health took a turn. So my husband and I made the hard decision, okay, we need to leave this lifestyle. It's a bit much. And he had some, other job opportunities. So we said, let's move down to Tampa. So
What was the draw? Did you know somebody here?
No.
Did you do your research on Google?
We
and you
did
said,
our research, and we visited several cities in Florida. We thought about maybe back to Pensacola, but coming from New York, we didn't want it to be a culture shock. We needed, something that felt like more of a gentle transition. And so Tampa felt right. It wasn't Miami. It wasn't Pensacola. It has this nice feel to it, and it appealed to us.
And the Yankees are here.
Yeah, we get to see
Literally and and figuratively. They're here.
Exactly.
How did you meet your husband, Brian?
We met online, and I was not open to that idea at first. But
Right.
my best friend, the one that I knew in England and met in England, she met her husband online. So she's like, I was dating in New York, and it just wasn't going well. I was meeting people the normal way.
Yeah.
It wasn't going well.
Yeah.
So she said, try online. And I did the bare minimum. I just put up a profile, and there's so much more to the story, but I will spare you. But we met online, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. So just for those who are listening, I met Brian, and he is a lovely man, and I met you both together. And did I see somewhere that he is also Slattery Gaston? Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
So I find that most interesting that they share that name in that way.
Okay, so we're bearing the lead here now. Do we have enough time to get into that?
Yes. So
How does that work?
He brings the Slattery part. I bring the Gaston part. And when we, were talking about getting married, I am very attached to my name. It is part of my identity, and I wasn't necessarily prepared to give that up completely and take his name. And so we talked about hyphenating my name only. And I said, okay, but there's still a lot of changes that go with that. So Brian, being the man that he is why I love him, he said, well, I wouldn't ask you to do anything that I wouldn't do. So he said, let's do it together. And I said, now I'm on board. I can do that.
Our kind of guy.
I like this guy more and more.
No, our kind of guy for
That's
sure.
cool.
Commercial as well.
That's cool. So, all right. So you end up in Tampa, and how do we find Frameworks? Or what did you do in
To get to
Tampa before
Frameworks?
Frameworks?
Yeah.
So it's interesting because we moved in 2019. It was right before COVID. So I thought that maybe I would get back into the classroom. And then when that didn't happen, because of COVID, I was doing some coaching and mentoring online. But once COVID kind of died down, I was really missing being around people in person. And I said, I'm open to a traditional job, but this was a good gig. I wasn't going to leave it if it wasn't the right position. Mm-hmm. So one day, Brian and I were talking, and he said, if you could just imagine your dream job, what would you be doing? And I said, well, I really want to be out in the community. We're new to Tampa. COVID came. I want to get to know the Tampa community and really be a part of it. And I wish I could just go and talk about things that I love, right? Which is mindfulness, emotional intelligence. Like, I wish I could bring that to people. And I kid you not, a week later on LinkedIn, I saw a opening at Frameworks, and I read the job description, and I called Brian in from the other room. I said, Brian, you got to come read this.
Brian, get in here.
Yeah, and what's wrong? What's wrong? And he read the job description, and he just looks at me. He's like, we're going to apply, right? Yes. And so I would say Frameworks found me in a way, because it was just this serendipitous.
The universe will
timing of it.
conspire.
Yes.
It'll conspire to help you. You put it out there, and you're looking, especially if you're a good people. I think that the goodness, it just kind of reciprocates.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell our audience what Frameworks is.
So Frameworks is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to equip all children in the Tampa Bay area with knowledge, skills, know-how to become kind, collaborative, capable citizens. And we know through research that emotional intelligence is that foundational set of skills that helps children do just that.
Can I ring a bell for that, Joey?
Yeah, that's great stuff.
Uh-huh.
So
That's good right
yeah,
there.
so tell our audience what is EQ and SEL.
Yes. So there can be some confusion out there around the two. So our focus is emotional intelligence. So language has evolved, over the years, but emotional intelligence is really a set of skills, and there are 5. So one is just the ability to name your emotions. Can you say what you're feeling and understand perhaps like the root cause? The second one is, can you manage those? Once you know what you're feeling, what do you do about it? And we always say at Frameworks, if you can't name it, you can't tame it. So you have to know what you're feeling before you can do something about it. The third one is then being able to understand and cope with the emotions of other people that you encounter. And so approaching things with empathy and compassion, so leading with empathy. The fourth one is now using all this information you have about yourself and others to make responsible decisions, because sometimes the best decision isn't always the easiest decision. So having those other skills at your disposal.
We know nothing about this, Joey.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then the last one is just building healthy relationships. So knowing how to connect with people, so you're not in isolation, and you have the right support around you, and you can, connect and communicate with others. So.
And that's awesome. And what is SEL?
So SEL is kind of the process of like how you would incorporate these skills, and it typically was taught like in schools, but so our approach is much broader. We are in schools, we work with the adults that serve the children, because as framework specialists, we can't be with children all the time, right? So we go in and we'll train and provide resources to teachers, to parents, to mentors who serve children.
Big brothers, big sisters.
They're one of our partners.
Yeah.
So we work with them so that we equip them with the emotional intelligence skills so they can take it into the classroom, into their homes, into their mentoring relationships. And we don't come in, with a one size fits all. This is how you have to do emotional intelligence. We truly partner with our partners. We go in like, what do you need? How can we serve you? We'll bring our expertise. We'll meet in the middle and we'll find what works.
It's much more nuanced, Joey. It can't be one size fits all, because we're all human and everybody's so different.
Absolutely.
So after we met, I went in, as I want to do, and started looking at this. And if something grabs me, I call it wormholing. I wormhole down into it and dig. And I was just like, wow, I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed by that. Wow, I'm impressed by that. And your organization does an amazing job at giving people access to seeing all the things that you do, including a number of YouTube videos that are really quite wonderful. And I was watching people from Frameworks, or several of them, in classrooms working, and the students are there, and the teacher is there, and the teacher is being mentored with this information. And for those of you listening out there, I think the reason this grabbed me is probably very personal, and it is that I am by nature, as is my partner, I think, an emotional kind of male, and more so than most, and maybe not, I don't know, but I'm an artist.
I can be weepy. I can be weepy.
I'm an artist, and I'm emotional, and I'm passionate, and that's all the positive sides. But the negative sides are, I now know after a long life of looking back that almost every decision I made out of emotion was not a good decision. And so what I see is a huge blind spot in our culture. Where do young children, particularly if they're growing up in a home that might be fragmented or fractured, or there's dysfunction or there's trauma, how do children learn emotional intelligence? By the way, EQ, for those of you who weren't listening closely, that's your version of IQ, basically.
Well, IQ, I would say, speaks to our logical brain.
Correct.
Like how we learn, what we think. Can you get the right answer on a math test? Emotional intelligence, those are those 5 skills that I mentioned. Those are the skills that are going to help you, manage the math problem. If you don't understand it right away, can you ask for help? If you don't get it, are you going to melt down and shut down, or are you going to say, that's okay, I didn't get this time, I'm going to practice, and I have the perseverance to
and this is a tremendous, and the reason I see this as such a tremendous need is that we have now all of this immigration in our culture that has changed our culture over the last 250 years, but we really came out of the Puritans and that work ethic and all that stuff where you're not supposed to express your feelings, and particularly men in our culture. I grew up in a generation of men that were not supposed to express your feelings. And what I'm realizing as I get older is that feelings, this is the thing that our culture has neglected in a broad sense of it. And we need to talk more about these things. And I just think that what you are doing at Frameworks is just, it's the saints' work you're doing.
Thank you. And I like what you said, because at Frameworks, we like to think of emotions as they're not good or bad, right? We don't have sadness or anger. They're not bad. They're maybe comfortable and uncomfortable, but it's also giving us information. Emotions are really data. And so by being open to exploring those feelings that come up for us, It's just, okay, let's go on a little research project. What's going on here? And then once you have that information, now, okay, what am I going to do about it? Because if someone comes up to you and they said, oh, my child's feeling sad, well, that doesn't tell you too much about what they're going through. But if we can get our kids to say, you know, I'm feeling embarrassed or I'm feeling nervous, you're going to do something completely different for those kids depending on that nuanced emotion. So the more detailed we can get, the more information we have, the more we can serve our kids, the more they can serve themselves.
It's powerful stuff.
And if you're just joining us again, we're talking to Kimberly Slattery Gaston, and this is a fascinating conversation because all of us, no matter what our age, Kimberly, your work primarily is with children, but certainly adults, young adults, everybody who's walking bipedal, who's breathing and upright can use these words of wisdom and help, because we all need, whether you want to accept it, acknowledge it or not, some form of therapy. It's just like working out. You know, you work out your muscles, you go to the gym to work your muscles, you got to work your emotional self too, because all of these things is what leads us to a more full life, I think. And if we can avoid that stress, Joey, if we can avoid that conflict, don't you just think that it enriches our lives and we live longer?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And here on the conversation, I got great advice from Randy Zimmerman, by the way.
Our fearless leader.
Our fearless leader here at WMNF. And she said in the interview process, do some more, how did you feel about that?
Yes.
How did you feel about that? So I became conscious of the fact that I was, in the beginning, we were both interviewing people about the data points. Well, where did you grow up? What happened here? What happened there? What happened? Now more, if you noticed, I've done a number of, well, how did you feel about that? And what's fascinating about that is, and I know Mario has seen this, we've had people where I'll say, well, how did you feel about that? And they look at me like, oh, no.
Or they hadn't considered it.
You weren't going to ask me that, were you?
Yeah, they hadn't considered that.
And so we really have a culture where people are very protective about their feelings, and that must get transcended or transferred, I guess is the word, into children in a way that's probably not productive, we'll say. I think it probably happens. And by the way, you're not just reaching out for children, you're also young adults, correct?
Correct. So our programming, we have early childhood programming. So we start, young to age 3. We have specialists that work in that space. We're in elementary, middle school, high schools. We have 2 separate teen programs focused just on high school students to develop their leadership skills and using that emotional intelligence to help them lead with empathy and make those responsible decisions. And as I said, our mentoring programs, again, running the gamut from young kids up through teens and young adults, and some of them who have even aged, out of foster care systems. So they're starting their jobs and starting their careers or college, whatever their path may be. So when you said it is really for everyone. And the skills that we come in, as we said, we're working with the adults who serve the children, but they get something out of it as well. So we're teaching them, yes, do this with the children you serve. But I had a mentor after a workshop one time. He came up to me afterward and he kind of, he's normally a jovial kind of guy, and he didn't look so great. And I said, what's going on? He's like, when I came into this workshop, I just came from school, and I had a really rough time mentoring the kids today, and I just, didn't feel at my best. And after the workshop today, he's like, I feel like I can do this. I have the skills to go out, and I can,
You put a couple of those tools.
The mentors and the parents and teachers.
That's awesome.
You put the tools back in the toolbox for him. And, I'm a question to both of you guys. So what is wrong with us becoming a kinder, gentler, and more empathetic society? What is wrong with that?
Well,
trick question. There's no answer required. There's not a damn thing wrong with that. And
Right.
I think society at large would be a lot better off if we just took a minute to walk in that other person's shoes. You talk to somebody, you don't know what they're doing in their life. You don't know what they're going through. You don't know what kind of traumas, what kind of app is open and running in the background. So, just don't be so quick to judge. Don't be so quick to put that hammer down. Maybe just be kinder and gentler.
And life is going to happen. We can't control a lot of external factors, but if we equip ourselves and our children with the skills to handle those situations when they arise, to overcome conflict, you have those difficult conversations in a healthy, constructive way, experience those uncomfortable feelings and emotions, and they have a toolbox at their disposal. And they're not always dependent on someone to solve it for them. Like, I know what I need to self-soothe. I need to take a breath. I need to pause, or I need to walk away for a minute and come back. to your point, imagine what a world would be like if we had this. Because that's our vision.
Yeah, no,
that's what we.
That's the altruistic. What is it? The Maslow's
Our vision.
the hierarchy.
Yes.
Of course,
To
of
spread
course.
the word.
No, and just be and. Listen, just be. It's difficult enough in this life, man.
Yeah.
I mean, and nobody's going to get out of this bad boy alive. We all know that. Father Time is undefeated. But whilst we're here, wouldn't it be just better for everybody if we considered the other person's feelings and, no, you first, or, I'm cool. What do you need? What does it say about us, Joey? If we're sitting here with a banquete, bro, we got all this food, we can't eat all of it, we're throwing half of it away, and you see somebody over there that you know is obviously hungry, what does it say about us if we don't take and try to feed that person?
Well, it goes back to that thing I was talking about, this value system of, you got to have a stiff upper lip and get tough, boy, and head out
Soldier
there.
on.
And by the way, I don't want to hear about, don't be a baby. I don't want to hear about your feelings about that. Just be a man. Or in the right case, be a woman, by the way. There are mothers who do this to their daughters and fathers who do this to their daughters. But my point is, we now have influencers at the top of our culture that speak of empathy as a weakness. And it's sad. It's very sad. And I don't want to live in a world where there isn't empathy and kindness and consideration for people around me. Sure, of course, you have to be aware of your boundaries and how to protect yourself in the right situation. But I imagine that people want to live in that kind of world.
And it's interesting that some people may think that empathy is a weakness, because if you want to even look at it purely from a logical, practical standpoint, like when they've done research, they've interviewed employers, and they said, well, what is the top skill you look for in a leader or an employer? They didn't mention a specific technical skill or anything like that. They said emotional intelligence. We need people who can work on a team. We need people who can communicate effectively. The first job I ever got right out of high school was at a printing company, and the woman interviewed me, and I knew nothing about printing, and she's asked me all kinds of questions. I knew nothing, but she hired me, and years later, because we stayed friends, she said, do you know why I hired you? I said, no. And she said, because you were nice. You were nice to my customers. She's like, I could teach you all the skills. I can't teach people to be nice.
I can't teach nice.
Listen, that's so perfectly said. Hey, we've tried being Conan the Barbarian in society for a while. Why don't we try Mr. Rogers for a little bit?
Yeah. So at
won't you be my neighbor?
yeah, right. So absolutely. So how does Frameworks do your job? What is your specific job at Frameworks?
So it's changed a little bit now. So now I'm the director of community programming. So I oversee our community department. We have two main departments, education and community. So education, we have specialists, and that was my role before. So a specialist, they are trained to go into the classrooms in the case of education, or lead workshops for our community partners in the case of community. And they will, I said, we'll work with the partners to decide, okay, what are you seeing in your classrooms? What are some things you want support with? We'll come in and we'll do a workshop or a training. In the case of schools, our specialists will go and coach or model something in the classroom so the teachers can see it. They see it working with the kids. We may do direct service where, we're doing it for the kids, or just telling the teachers how to do it and then they're practicing it. We do one-on-one coaching as well for our mentors. Our teen programs, they're a little different. They are like clubs during the school day, or we have our Teens in Action Leadership Council, which is a year-long program, and they do a full-on service learning project where they're out in the community using those leadership skills, using those empathy skills to come up with a project on their own that's of interest to them.
I have a question, Joey. So this is, you said it earlier. This is. I can see her wings from here. They're kind of hidden behind the chair a little bit, but she's doing angel's work.
Yeah.
But listen, all of this needs to be funded because, we don't do, nothing happens in a vacuum and nothing happens for free. What are your funding mechanisms? And if people wanted to reach out and help you, if they need your services, how can they find you? How can they help you in your cause?
Thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we can't do this alone. We are primarily funded by donors, as we are a nonprofit, and so every little bit helps. There is no amount that's too small. And so if you feel called to this, we would love if you visit our website. It's myframeworks.org. And there's a donate page, and you can do that. We also have resources on there. So if you're a parent and you just want some tips or advice, we have a blog with information. We have tools that you can see there. And if you have any questions at all, you can find our contact information on our website. Please reach out. Call us, email us. We'd be happy to talk to you. If you're a community partner and you're working with, mentors or kids, we'd love to talk to you about partnership as well. We're always open to that. If you're a school that is interested in having this at your school, please
Private or
let us
public?
know.
Private or public,
Absolutely.
parochial?
Yes, we are open to that.
Because we're all humans. Whether you go to
Exactly.
private school, parochial school, voucher kid, stay-at-home kid, and maybe the argument could be that the stay-at-home kids might need the most work to help because they're
Yes.
staying at home and they're isolating.
Your web design people are great because your page is really fun to access and look around, and I felt very good about it. So I highly recommend to everyone that you go to Frameworks and look around.
Myframeworks.org.
Yes.
Yeah, and so these mentors, are they paid staff or are they volunteers?
It depends. Our mentor programs, they vary. So there are some that are paid staff and they're with their mentees for a long time. And there are others where they are volunteers. They do this because it is just
A calling.
on their heart.
It's a calling.
Exactly.
That's
Joey, it's why we do the show.
amazing, yeah.
It's why we do the conversation.
Yeah.
It's a calling.
Yeah.
That and we go to lunch every once in a while.
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's be honest.
And we get to meet the coolest people in the world.
Ding
There
on
you
that
go.
one, Joey.
So
well done.
So yeah. So is there anything else about the organization that you'd like to talk
In
about?
the last
that we
couple
haven't
of
talked
minutes,
about?
please.
Because we're up against it now.
The hard out, the hard clock.
Oh, my goodness.
If it's important to you, now's the time to kind of spill it out there.
No pressure.
We can always have you back.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, thank you. We would love that.
And I do have a real quick question that might help you loosen some synapses. Is you said something about, I wanted to be out in the field and I didn't want to be in an office, but aren't you now in an office a lot? Although I know you love your job. But tell me about that a little bit. Is that what you do?
No, I mean,
Are you out there a lot?
She's out there with us now, today, here.
Well, I'm out here today. We are out in schools. We are out doing workshops. We try to meet people where they are. So, of course, we do virtual workshops. Parents, professionals, they're working, so we might not be out there, but we are connecting with the community always.
Are there workshops for John Q. citizen that can come in on a Saturday and take a class or take a lesson or just listen and
if somebody wanted to volunteer, how would they hook up with Frameworks?
Oh, reach out to us. We don't have volunteer opportunities in the traditional sense because
there's
our
training.
specialists are the ones.
There's
Yes, we need to
training.
be trained, so we have the specialists go out. So I don't know. That's a good question in terms of how we can rethink, like how volunteers may be able to support, because if people are willing to help, we want to find a way to connect.
So if somebody's listening today and they're a retired teacher, but they think that this is a really cool thing, or they're retired at whatever the field, and they think this is a cool thing they'd like to do, they can just go to the webpage and go through contact and reach out to somebody.
Yeah, I would say have a conversation with us. That's something that we're always open to. We may not have exact channels right now, or we may not have, a specific thing in mind, but we're open to talking with anyone.
and it's the want to that you can't replace. I mean, if somebody has the willingness to do it, we could always figure a way that you can serve your community through Frameworks.
Yeah, because our traditional workshops are through a partnership, so we don't have like standalone workshops open to the general public at the moment. I always say at the moment because
But that's coming.
we are
But-
growing.
yeah.
We don't know where things are going to take us, so I always like to leave the possibility.
I want to leave Miss Kimberly with this thought, okay? And we will certainly have you back because I think this is a recurring conversation that we need to have because it's helpful.
Thank you.
And
We
it's
love
part of our growth process, right? All of us that are listening, that are talking, and so on and so forth. But when you come back, I want to open up the conversation because you buried the lead a long time ago in the conversation when you said, I think it's when you got back from Japan and you worked somewhere in Michigan for a while at the Chakra. And what was that again?
The Child Care Center.
Oh, Child Care Center? Is that what it was? Child Care. I understood chakra. And I wanted to know, okay, what do you know about chakra? Because I want to know more about that.
In my personal life, I know about that.
Well, maybe that's what maybe I was channeling with you.
Yeah.
But
You felt something.
thank you.
Yeah.
Joey?
Yes, well, let me
Thanks
just
for
say
being
in
here,
our last
Kimberly.
moments here, as always, special thanks to Jessica Green, our OG of engineers, helping us today. And also Gabrielle on the phones, the beautiful Gabrielle. And then finally, coming up next It is. It's the Music Wednesday with Sam I Am. She's over there rocking and rolling right now. Thank you so much, ladies
Joe,
and gentlemen.
you did that good. You did that. You're getting better, Joe. Let me just put it that way. You're
Thank
getting
you,
better.
sir.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
And
Thank
also
you.
fundraisers. We got fundraiser coming up.
Yep.
So be
ready.
aware, folks. We're
Be
going to be
ready.
asking for money. Speaking of nonprofits.
pretty soon. Thank you, Kimberly, for being here today.
Thank you so much for having
We
me.
so appreciate you. You're listening to WMNF Tampa.
This is The Scoop for Wednesday.